Well, hello everyone. It is a pleasure to be here today to talk about the experience that WSP Spain has had in achieving the ISO 19650 certification. Well, first of all, I'll very briefly introduce ourselves because you will hear two speakers today. I am Susana Millan. I'm together with Cristina Puente here next to me. We coordinate the BIM team at WSP Spain. Although my role is more transversal across building and infrastructure projects, I also represent the digital solutions team, more focused on the digital transformation of the ecosystem and the eco sector and the BIM methodology we are discussing today.
Hi, my name is Cristina Puente. Indeed, I coordinate the BIM team at WSP Spain alongside Susana. And today I represent the infrastructure projects developed under the BIM methodology in our area. I am part also of the highways and roads team and have some experience in developing BIM projects in key reference projects. Today's session aims to share and convey our success story. As you will see shortly, we will not only discuss the achievement of the ISO certification itself, but also our vision for the implementation of the BIM methodology across all project teams, adapting ourselves to the level of maturity and technology in each case.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's no need to highlight the advantages of using the BIM methodology in this forum that today have. So we'll just briefly remind that to everyone that the purpose of the implementing the BIM methodology is the need to increase productivity and efficiency in our sector. Historically, as we see in this slide with the line in orange in the graphic, other sectors have improved their productivity, relying primarily on new technologies. However, our sector, the line that you can see here in blue in the same graphic, by comparison, we are not being able to leverage the same resources in the same way to improve the productivity. And that's why you can also read here the famous phrase, Houston, we have a problem. Well, in this other image, you can see the level of digitalization across various industry sectors. The greener the color, the better the index of digital maturity is in that specific aspect. The redder, the less digitally mature the sector is in that regard. Let's compare two markets, finance and insurance, for example. They rank very high on the chart with nearly all the indices in green. Our sector, by the way, in the other hand, is the second from the bottom, with a few aspects in orange, but the majority in red. This indicates that our sector has a significant resistance to technology and digitalization in general, but there are other factors that affect the way we do things. Ours is a very fragmented sector where each contractor and subcontractor, as you also know, works very independently, creating unconnected information silos.
Approximately 2 years ago arose the need to certify WSP Spain in ISO 19650. Public tenders processes were beginning to require this certification, and it was becoming increasingly clear that it would be necessary to get it. It means that clients were beginning to request BIM requirements in almost all projects. When the need and the internal mandate to certify the company emerged, we already had experience in developing projects with BIM models. We have teams, especially in the building sector, with some experience in BIM modeling projects since 2008. However, the need to certify in this ISO provided a golden opportunity for us to advance the company's maturity level. Until then, although we had teams with a lot of experience, we could say that our maturity level was between 1 and 2 because the effective implementation of all the workflows really required by the methodology depending on the expertise of certain employees. However, this made it difficult to consider ourselves at a maturity level 2 or 3. When I say levels 1, 2, or 3, I'm just referring to the well-known BIM maturity levels chart that you can see on the screen right now, which I'm sure everyone here is very familiar with. Along with the management's mandate to obtain ISO 19650 certification, the opportunity arose to develop a unified BIM standard for all WSP Spain projects, regardless of their nature, whether in building construction, infrastructure, energy, etc. The leadership team, fully aligned with effective implementation of the methodology, accepted the challenge of developing a standard that could be applicable across all markets within the company. And this involves obviously designing an internal structure tailored to the new needs.
The project for the ISO certification was completed in a record time. In May 2023, we received the mandate from our company management to obtain the certification. In June, a working group of 24 people called the BIM Group was formed. That same month, the tasks of defining the new processes according to the ISO began. Everything, of course, in alignment with the company's quality team. In August, the WSP Spain BIM team was appointed, a group of 5 people that today are 7 that serve as the custodians of the BIM standard and the ISO certification in WSP Spain. In October 2024, we successfully certified the company. At the same time, we kicked off the development of the new cross-functional standard, a standard that was going to keep evolving and getting tweaked to fit what the company needs down the line.
As Susana just mentioned, the first step was to bring together a group of about 24 professionals forming the BIM group. Within this group, 5 individuals were identified to make up the corporate BIM team, or in other words, the corporate BIM managers of WSP Spain. Nowadays, 7 colleagues are the members of the BIM team. This team is composed by 3 experts in BIM methodology for building projects, 3 experts in BIM methodology for infrastructure projects, and a cross-disciplinary specialist in the technology related to the methodology. This structure ensures a comprehensive, a truly cross-functional approach to BIM implementation in our area. However, the most innovative aspect of our BIM management proposal and structure does not lie in what we've discussed here so far. It lies in the fact that this team is not independent or merely a support team within the company's structure. Instead, each of these professionals actively develops projects within their respective market while simultaneously carrying out the tasks related to their corporate BIM role. As you can imagine, this model has one major advantage and one major disadvantage. Starting with the disadvantage, it requires a significant coordination effort, and the members consistently demonstrate a great ability to manage and coordinate autonomously. The advantage, as I'm sure you can also imagine, is that the BIM standard accurately reflects the company's needs, since those drafted it have first-hand knowledge of the real condition and daily requirements of each project.
Yeah, before going to this slide, if I may, I feel like I should pause here for some kind of dramatic effect to say that in just 4 months, we managed to develop a process and gather enough evidence from 3 different real projects to get the company certified under the new ISO 19650. It goes without saying that it was a massive effort. We could only pull it off with thanks to all the professionals within WSP who worked their tails off to help everyone reach this goal. Well, having said that, and getting back to the slide, the organizational structure inside the project simplifies the possible BIM roles into the followings that you can see here. Well, first at the top, we have the corporate BIM team. This team does not participate in the production of a project, but provides support to any project. Then we have the BIM project coordinator, who alongside the project manager is responsible for the overall management of the information and its delivery to the client. Then we have the discipline BIM coordinators, who are responsible for the BIM management within their respective disciplines. And then finally, we have the BIM technicians, who are any professional managing or producing any type of information. Well, we all know that depending on the client or the project, there are many other types of BIM roles. However, all roles and BIM responsibilities can be considered within these 4 basic categories. We understand that a role does not necessarily represent a single person, and that one person can play more than one role in a project. But most important thing to remember is that every project member always plays some kind of BIM role, whether it's BIM management or BIM production.
Well, to post the audit in October 2023, 3 projects were selected, 2 building projects and 1 infrastructure project. As an example today, we present one of the projects that passed the audit. It is a hotel project named Hotel 101, and a standalone building. All disciplines were carried out by WSP, such as MEP, structures, architecture, etc., and WSP was the main BIM contractor. Although the teams from all 3 projects worked wonderfully to align with the certification, this particular project was a very special case, and that's why we want to present it now. The result is that this project did not have any BIM requirements at all from the client. The client did not require adherence to the BIM methodology, nor did they even request BIM models. Therefore, we can say that this team implemented the methodology in this project almost voluntarily, which I believe is a value worth highlighting. It was also a fantastic training for all the teams involved in the project, as they could apply and be familiarized with the ISO workflows with no pressure at all, and following our own BIM requirements from the WSP standard that we mentioned earlier. It also added a real value to the project. Additionally, we want to mention that this team had extensive experience in BIM modeling, but however, they were facing BIM management aspects for the first time, such as using the platform ACC from Autodesk, not only as a collaborative tool for 3D models, but also as an integral tool for managing the new workflows under ISO 19650.
Yes, for the first time, this team implemented all the workflows within the Autodesk Common Data Environment, the so-called ACC platform. Using our global WSP project template, they empowered their disciplines to change the way they work and share information, realizing that the BIM methodology is not just about 3D modeling, but about the comprehensive management of the project's information. They became familiar with the BIM-based role management, and their responsibilities all used the work templates, and they have been prepared with the previous months to meet all the requirements of the ISO. Well, we will go very quickly on this because we don't want to get too technical in this forum, but we were even able to test the integration of the class detection as a complementary within the ACC platform in this case and for this project. And this is a very important one because we also believe that this ISO certification project has been a great example of international collaboration. I would like to take this opportunity again to acknowledge the support of other global WSP areas that have assisted us. For example, to develop all our working templates, WSP UK teams led by people like Michael Boyd provided us with a wealth of documentation that was essential in developing our own for WSP Spain. This project is just another example of how enriching collaboration between global areas are in our company. And I think this is one of the most greatest strengths as a global company. And it's simply fantastic to have the opportunity to share our initiatives. I think because they will lead to a better harmonization criteria. I mean, in a global scale and in the long run too. Other collaborators, such as Javier García Montesinos, have also been of great help. Well, many people at the end have been and are still involved in this project, and we also extend our recognition from here. Well, obviously, many projects in our company nowadays use the ACC client platform or the client's proposed platform to develop all the processes required by the ISO. But the cases like this project, the Hotel 101, hold the most significance for us. They demonstrate that the methodology can be deployed in any type of project with evidence generations tailored to the needs of the team and the project. Here we show only part of the guidelines that we developed to create very, very basic and clear workflows within the ACC platform, in this case, for this project to meet the standard.
Well, also, one of the most fruitful aspects since obtaining the certification has been that the BIM team now supports and assists in the bidding phase of all projects with BIM requirements. This work not only ensures that the submitted bid documentation will meet all the client's BIM requirements, but also that the bid manager truly understands and can accurately assess these requirements. This effort allows us to stay in contact with all team leaders and helps us gauge the progress of BIM implementation and its understanding across the company. In this process, a member of the BIM team is assigned to each bid process and assists the bid manager from the beginning in interpreting BIM requirements and formulating possible responses and improvement proposals for each of the bids.
Another of the many things we've learned is not to take anything for granted or to assume prior knowledge. Our BIM training always starts with the basics, explaining which processes of the ISO belongs to our clients and which processes we must ensure compliance with, from the submission of an offer to the end of the development process. The flowchart we see in this slide is for the collaborative information production process, which is one of the processes that affects the largest number of BIM roles in all the projects. During our training sessions, for example, we discuss them to challenge the usual or the traditional, let's say traditional practices in the project.
As you can imagine, this work is not just theoretical. It involves many technologies and software solutions that coexist in the projects. We are currently carrying out an initiative with the IT team to shape the company's BIM software map, which aims to be a reference tool for any professional within the company who needs to check which software is already available, or, for example, which one would require some type of approval or prior evaluation before it can be installed on their PC. We are aware that we are not taking the easy path, but we now know it is the safe one. Our BIM standard aims to be a unique and flexible for all projects. Our standard already contains the essential aspects of the BIM methodology that all projects need, but we know it will always be a work in progress. There will always be new annexes to include and content to review and update. The goal is to have a perfect standard because it is flexible and capable of adapting to the BIM requirements of any client we have.
Each of the documents that we have in the standard is developed always by two colleagues from the company who have been identified as the experts in the subject. The reason for having at least two is to ensure that the document is coordinated and it is applicable to both building and infrastructure projects always. In this table, you can see all the colleagues who are currently working on developing and maintaining the standard. Again, it's time to recognize their work, the work they're doing. I believe we work with a group of people that is really committed to making all this work available for the rest of the company. In the slide, what you can see, we have fields in black. They represent the completed standard documents, and those in blue that you can see on the right indicate the documents that are currently under development for the standard.
All the information about the standard, the ISO certification, the project templates, the recorded training sessions, and all the news we usually publish are centralized in our SBIM hub, which is our BIM SharePoint. I just want to remind that all these resources I have just mentioned are for internal use only, so all WSP Spain employees can refer to them at any time. We have aimed to create a very intuitive space where all resources and content related to the use of the BIM methodology in our area can be easily found. For example, here in the screen, you can see the repository for ISO documents and working templates. In here, for example, you can see the repository for the standard documents and resources. But however, perhaps the most useful and most used resources in our day-to-day work are the training capsules builds unrecorded training sessions. These include not only the scheduled sessions, but also the ones we have improvised as we identified specific needs within the teams. If I'm not mistaken, we've reached the end of the presentation. We hope you found our success story interesting. Part of this success is due to the incredible collaboration and communication between our global teams with whom we share new approaches and experiences every day. We would like to once again thank all our colleagues around the world, and we are at your disposal for any questions you may have.
Well, before we move on to questions, I'd just like to say that we hope our experience in obtaining the ISO certification has been helpful to all of you. But apart from this internal project at WSP Spain, we have extensive experience not only in implementing BIM methodology in numerous companies over the years, but now also in helping our clients to align their processes with the standards like this one we've seen today. Our digital team here is always here to support any agent, any company that might need assistance with the BIM methodology. And again, thank you so much for your attention. And now we'll open the floor for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Susana and Christina. Fantastic presentation. Just mentioning, the presentation slides are available to download in the handout box as a PDF, and please continue to log your questions in the question box. I will start with the first question. How do you balance rigid BIM protocol against a very loose or even non-existing requirement protocol?
Well, I think that's a brilliant question, and it's a question from someone who is dealing with this with this problem every day. I can tell that. That's a great point. Well, it's true. It's true that dealing with a client with super strict requirements can be very tough as handling with one with very vague BIM requirements, maybe. People who are really into this usually prefer the client with strict but clear requirements, because the biggest challenge is to avoid any risk at the end when you are delivering to your client and your client is not happy with the delivery because you didn't set the premises on front, right? So if you're not dealing with unclear requirements, but you are dealing with maybe loose or brief ones, well, our approach is normally to fill in the gaps or to fill in the missing details in the BEP, in the BEP document. So to try to get the client on board, let's say, by approving the BEP before we start producing any kind of information.
Thank you. Next question is, was it necessary to educate other departments other than the BIM team at WSP in Spain about the ISO 19650 to secure the corporate certification?
Well, if I may, Christina, I'll respond this one. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, yes.
yeah, absolutely. When you implement not only the certification, I mean, the certification is the key of this project, but simply the implementation of the methodology, you have to train everyone. I mean, when you remember this slide where we were saying that every member of the project plays some kind of BIM role, I mean, it's true, and this is the key point. I mean, if always everyone in a project is going to play some kind of BIM role, everyone in the project and in the company needs to be trained somehow in the BIM methodology to understand the BIM methodology. Even the management team in our area, they've been very keen to learn from the beginning so they could align the objectives of the company with the implementation.
Thank you. Next question is, I would like to know how you're managing or handing over tender information to project managers once the project is awarded.
Well, I don't know, Christina, if you want to take this one. If not,
well,
I can.
Ideally, when you are preparing the bid alongside the bid manager, the bid manager is aware of all BIM requirements. So we think that we don't need to hand over everything because the bid manager is already acknowledged all he needs to undertake the project, and now in all the BIM requirements. Ideally, when the BIM member is supporting and assisting the bid manager to prepare the bid, Sometimes it happens that this person is also the BIM manager of the project. So again, we don't need to hand over this information. It is already there, and everyone is aware of all the BIM requirements that need to be undertaken in that project. I don't know if Susana, you want to add anything else?
Yeah, definitely. I just add that, well, when you're in the bidding process and that phase, what you have is maybe not a project manager, you have a proposal manager. But as Cristina said, you have on board both profiles. You have the proposal manager and the BIM manager from the corporate BIM team helping. So everyone in the management team is aware of every requirements, just in case you get the offer.
Thank you. The next question is from a BIM coordinator at WSP in the Middle East. They're referring to the Hotel 101 project. It's a bit long, so please bear with me. Thanks for a brilliant presentation. Since ISO has a lot of clauses related to appointing party, how was your experience with this information that was missing from the client in the Hotel 101 project?
In the case of the Hotel 101, it's very different for that, because imagine a project where you don't have any BIM requirement. Well, that was the case of the Hotel 101. When I said at the beginning that we prepared 3 different projects for the ISO certification to pass the audit, 2 of them had BIM requirements from the client. So the client had a maturity level where they developed their requirements to get into account during the project. But in the case of the hotel, was something like a proposal. It was more like a proposal to the client. We said to the client, we want to do this. We want to align our project with the ISO. Are you happy with that? You will see some processes that have to change because we have to communicate in another environment. It's going to be a bit different, but they were happy with it. So it was brilliant because you don't have the limitations of some requirements. So you can propose your own BIM requirements with the client, and in this case was that way. So it was a very particular project in this case.
Thank you. Just due to time, I will take the last question. We have a lot of really good questions, and unfortunately will be answered only by email, but thank you for logging those. What are the lessons learned and what you would do differently on upcoming projects?
Wow, that's a difficult one. But the lessons learned are part of the ISO certification, if I may. I mean, the ISO is mandatory for the ISO that when you are developing your project, you have to gather the lessons learned regarding BIM methodology in the project. Every project member can propose any lesson learned in any time until the end of the project. And at this very moment, what we are doing as coordinators of the BIM team is collecting all the lessons learned from all the projects that are under development. And we are planning to do something with that because we really know that the lessons learned are a very good practice that we know from, because they are not new with the BIM methodology, but we really want that they are useful for future projects. So yeah, I don't know if Cristina, you want to add something.
I think training is the key. Yeah. The first ones are more difficult, and then if you practice and you familiarize with all the workflows that it implies, I think you will get a good BIM project.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic, thank you. I will just read the last comment that I received here because I just find it really nice. This is from Keith in WSP in Singapore. I would like to say congratulations in achieving the certificate in such a short time. This is probably the first time it has been achieved in such a short period of time. It took us in Singapore 6 months, and we already had CDE and standards in place. So again, congratulations. And we will need to wrap up the session now. Please feel free to reach out to Susana and Cristina via the contact details that are shown on the screen. And again, fantastic for all your comments and questions. Thank you so much for your engagement in this presentation. So thanks again, Susana and Christina. We will wrap up the
Thank you very
session now.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.